This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you drive long haul, short haul, or heavy haul, they're here to empower and inspire women in the trades on tncradio.live. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
You're listening to Women Road Warriors. We're a show designed to empower and inspire women in trucking, in the trades, and everywhere. We cover all kinds of topics. I'm Shelley, and
I'm Kathy.
Today we have a fantastic guest with us who's a health and wellness expert and businesswoman. Angela Arena believes in empowering women and their health naturally and practices what she preaches. As she said, women are often guilty of letting our wellness slip, and if you can't fill up your own cup, you can't fill up anyone else's either. The Bosstown website describes Angela as a badass woman who doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk. Now, that's quite convincing for me. Angela is the founder of Kind Lab, a radical wellness company specializing in plant-based solutions formulated to work with and for a woman's body. Angela's going to talk to us a bit about wellness for women, as well as ways to get over the blues, which often get worse during the winter, especially when the days grow shorter and the temperatures get really cold. And it's especially tough during the holidays. Welcome, Angela. I'm so excited. Thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I was wondering if maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and how you began your mission to empower women and their health.
Sure. So I experienced a career change that was motivated really by my health and wellness. Sounds like, it could be that I have a lot in common with both you and many of your listeners. I was a corporate executive, working the grind. I have a spouse. We have 2 children, just working myself to death. I found myself, in a difficult situation where I was extremely stressed out. I just really drove myself into the ground. I was giving, 100% to my company, trying to show up for my kids, trying to, be there for my spouse, and really just kind of burning the candle at both ends, and got to the point where I had gotten myself so stressed out that I had complete insomnia. I wasn't sleeping at all. My mind just wouldn't shut off. I was physically, emotionally exhausted, but I just couldn't stop. And after weeks of this, it was really terrible. I was really personally just circling the drain. Meanwhile, just trying to continue to show up for everyone as, women often do. We tend to put ourselves last. And I just really, I couldn't keep it up anymore. And finally, I tried everything from like wine to a pint of Ben & Jerry's, which doesn't work, just, to help you out, give you the shortcut there. And nothing seemed to work. And someone finally convinced me to try marijuana, and I couldn't believe how well it worked. Eventually it got to the point where, I wasn't sleeping at all, and just having this little bit of, THC and CBD was a great help for me. And it really was a turning point where I thought of like, wow, I'm not doing anything for myself. I'm not really, I'm not taking care of myself. I'm at the point where I really can't sleep. And once I was getting that sleep, I just felt so much better, and I could really show up for my kids and my spouse again, got into, a good sleep hygiene, everything. And that being able to sleep really halo affected into my day, and just trying to learn more about natural solutions and how women need to take care of ourselves. And I was one of those who wasn't. And so for those many women out there, like I see you, I get it. And this is something I struggle with on a day-to-day basis. And so I understand, and I'd rather people not go through what I went through and be able to encourage and inspire them to prioritize their wellness and try to share what I've learned so they don't have to get to the point where I was, because it was pretty miserable. So from there, I left my corporate job and founded Kind Lab, where a big mission of ours is not only to create solutions specifically for women to help with our needs, but also, like I said, to educate and inspire women to start prioritizing their own health and wellness, because we all deserve to be happy.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do you have products that are not THC based? Because obviously drivers, there's some strict regulations on that sort of thing. And
yes. And, a lot of my customers are people who operate heavy machinery, who do things where they're going to get tested. I have a lot of people with, all kinds of fishing, boating licenses, and electricians, and they do get tested, pilots. So for those people, in terms of plant-based wellness, I always recommend THC-free solutions. It just takes that that risk off the table for people who do get regularly tested.
Right.
You can still take advantage of plant-based solutions. And by plants, I mean, I'm talking, saffron, magnesium, including hemp. But you just want to look for THC-free options. But, I'm glad I have those and I offer them on purpose because, electricians are, cramming themselves into small spaces and you get these repetitive injuries, you're operating heavy machinery, that kind of thing. And, you may not want to go to something that, you're getting from a drugstore, you're getting from your doctor. If you want to try a natural solution, I try to make those available to everyone.
Oh, yeah, because, oh my gosh, some of those drugs that people get on, that creates a whole another set of problems with opiates and all. Oh my goodness.
I know, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Side effects are horrible on most of these things,
I
even
know.
even antidepressants. My own daughter, finally, she's been struggling for about the last 10 years and finally went on antidepressants. She's been, smoking marijuana as well, but wasn't quite getting to what she needed. Anyhow, long story short, she decided that, they're not working for her, too many side effects, and it was making her all over the place. And so she decided to quit them just cold turkey. And my God, that sent her over the edge, like just from doing that, even though I had, told her, honey, I said, you can't just quit taking not opiates, but antidepressants like that. But she did. And now she's seeing this downward spiral effect. And, the people often say, like in my nursing years, the worst part of detoxing is not alcohol or drugs, but it's off of opiates. It's off of pills because people look at them like they're candy. Oh, I didn't get an effect right away. Let me take a couple more.
Yeah.
Well, the kidneys can't filter all that. Even ibuprofen is the number one cause of kidney failure. When I worked on the kidney unit, people take it like it's candy.
Yep.
And it's not. It's so dangerous. They don't realize how long it takes for the body to filter it out of the system.
Right. Of course, with your nursing background, like you would know that, like Tylenol is extremely dangerous. If we had Tylenol today, it would never have gone through the FDA because the effective dose and the lethal dose is just way too close. And
it causes liver failure, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, it's so bad. So bad.
Yeah. And that was my thing when I was experiencing insomnia. I was like, all right, well, Ambien's my next option. But first of all, I don't want to go to the doctor because I feel like I'm complaining, which women do. We just, come up with reasons to beat ourselves up. But then, I was working with someone who we would call it central ambient time. He would send out these weird, long, ranting emails in the middle of the night that were like almost incoherent. All I could think of was like, what is that doing to your brain long term?
Some people do ambient driving and cooking and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So, and that's where I'm saying is, natural solutions they can be very incredible. And is everything a silver bullet? No. And it's the same with pills. Pills aren't a silver bullet either. But, everything you try is something you cross off the list. If it doesn't work, worst case, you cross it off the list. Best case, it works. Great. You have a natural solution. Worst case, it's something you cross off the list. And now you're one step closer to finding something that does work for you. So I really try to encourage people to go natural first if they can, because the side effects and those things, they just don't talk to you when you go to the doctor's office about those side effects. And they can be, I've worked with a lot of people going off of, everything from, antidepressants to sleep medication, and it's rough. And you don't know that when you're signing up, and then you pay for it on the other end, which can
like
be
my daughter.
Exactly.
I mean, she was like suicidal. I'm like, this is a kid who would never, like, I'm like, my God, like, what are these pills?
I know.
Lord, I said, go back to that doctor. And like, so yeah, now I'm just waiting. But, and another thing is that what works for one person doesn't work for the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then generics is a whole nother thing. Like every generic works a little bit differently. The fillers are all a little bit different. So, people don't realize like you can cycle through different generics and one can work better for you than another. So it just kind of adds complexity. But
and yet in the States, a lot of times insurance companies will only pay for the generic.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah. So anxiety is also something women suffer from.
Yes. And I would say anxiety and depression are often coupled together, but not always. And there's a saying, depression is being sad about the past and anxiety is being sad about the future. And, fortunately, CBD is phenomenal for stress, both mental and, physical in your body, because we do carry a lot of body in our stress rate and a lot of stress in our bodies right now, especially, 2 years of COVID. People don't realize that we've been sitting in a like kind of a wait and see holding pattern. And after a while, that takes a lot of toll on your body. And
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of women, like I had a friend who's incredibly fit. She was looking at her husband's smartwatch and being like, wow, your resting heart rate's really high. Maybe there's something to watch. And she put it on herself. She couldn't believe how high hers was. And she's like, wow, I guess like I'm just under so much more stress than I thought. So congratulations to the women who at least can identify it, because then you can do something about it. There are a lot of women who just don't realize, and they'll come in and they'll talk to me about their back pain, only to back in and say, hey, 6 months ago, my mom had COVID and she got really sick. And, it's like you internalize that. And
Sure.
women are really struggling. And so that's a big part of what I do, is try to prop this guy back up, offer them, tools to put in their toolkit, whether that's, a Kind Lab product or, some better sleep hygiene, changes to diet and things like that, that can help women start to raise their baseline. So like I said, they can elevate their quality of life.
Changing diet is a really big tool that most people tend to neglect. They say, because we hear it all the time, oh, you need diet and exercise and sleep, and people go, yeah, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in my personal case, and I'm just speaking from experience, 2 years ago, I became celiac, and I had no choice but to absolutely eliminate almost everything out of my diet and start from scratch and try and get to educate myself at the age of 50, right, on how to eat. And I was absolutely shocked at the difference in how I personally feel by removing one simple ingredient from my diet. I mean, now that I've been 2 years later, I'm more educated and I figure things out. But that one ingredient, man, now when I look back, how bloated, how tired, I had that brain fog. I wasn't sleeping properly. I just didn't feel good. I was like sluggish. And now that I've removed that and I've replaced my food with mostly plant-based foods, and I removed meat and dairy and, a bunch of stuff, my gosh, I have more energy. I feel great. I mean, of course I lost weight with that, but that's always a bonus, right? And just the mental clarity I have from that one ingredient. And so to all those women listening, especially the truckers, I mean, we're sitting down, being a trucker myself, you're sitting down in that piece of equipment or in that truck, and you're not moving a lot. And so diet is very, very important, especially to the middle-aged women, because our metabolism, like my thyroid died on top of that. So I have zero metabolism. So I really have to be extra careful. So sometimes it's not by saying you have to change, okay, this is it, I'm going 100% cold turkey and I'm going to change everything. No, it's a gradual process. Start removing one thing instead of going for the chips. Well, you know what, maybe get the veggie chips or something, replace it. Don't just remove it and feel that void, because then you crave more, right? So take the negative out, replace it with a positive.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with your approach. People feel like, oh, I'm going to clean up my diet means like tomorrow they're going to wake up and be a new person. You're going to pick up all these
like New Year's resolution, same
right?
thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's not how it works. And to be honest, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And women just, it's like we put enough pressure on ourselves. Like, just take it one thing at a time. And like you said, with food sensitivities, like you'll know within 2 or 3 days if it's working for you. Cut down your added sugar. That's always the thing I tell people to do first. Sugar is in everything.
Sugar is actually a depressant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hadn't heard that, but it makes sense when you come down off of it.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly addictive, like off the charts addictive. And so, even doing little things like watching, like trying to minimize the added sugar, trying to, switching out like a cup of ice cream for a piece of fruit. Like, no, it's not as fun, but you don't have to do it forever. Just do it for, 3 or 4 days and see how it makes you feel. If it moves the needle, then like I said, you're on to something. If not, like crack open the Ben and Jerry's again. But, that, and then water is another thing. We're so busy, we're running around, we don't want to take restroom breaks, but
Yep.
dehydration can cause a lot of problems. And so water's another big one. And the one I love, because, being 50 myself, like, yeah, you really have to start cleaning up your diet and watching what you eat. And it can really have a big influence on your mood, your energy, your mental clarity, and everything. So it does make a big difference. One thing that can always help from a supplement perspective is magnesium. So many of us are magnesium deficient, and magnesium deficiency, it used to be we would get a lot through vegetables that grew in the soil, and they, pulled the magnesium out of the soil. But with modern farming practices, and, it's so easy to grab a, pack of snacks versus, have a kale salad, we just don't get as much. And magnesium deficiency can it causes anxiety, it causes sleep issues. So, everyone topping off your magnesium is a great thing to do. I love magnesium glycinate. There are different kinds of magnesium. Magnesium glycinate is very kind on your stomach, so it won't make you kind of always have to keep an eye out for a restroom. But it really does help calm your nervous system. And sometimes even little tweaks like that, either taking a supplement or, starting to eat more things like, almonds, kale, dark leafy green vegetables that have magnesium, like those little changes can make a big difference.
I agree.
That's huge. I don't think a lot of people think about supplements. Ideally, if you could get it naturally, that's really cool. But like you were saying, the way things are farmed and so forth, I don't think a lot of the vegetables even have the kind of mineral count or quantity that they used to maybe 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Did you know that 80% of America's communities rely on trucking alone to deliver their goods? The trucking industry keeps America running thanks to the 3.6 million professional truck drivers traveling over 300 billion miles a year. Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, tells the story of trucking and its positive impact on our economy, communities, and lives. Learn how you can be part of the industry movement working to build a strong image of trucking by visiting truckingmovesamerica.com. Kathy Tuccaro is nothing short of amazing. She not only drives the world's biggest truck as a heavy equipment operator in northern Alberta, Canada. She's an international motivational speaker and the author of Dream Big, an autobiography about overcoming a lifetime of trauma and abuse that led to dreams of success. Kathy inspires people the world over to change their lives and improve their self-worth. Her book will change your life. She's passionate about personal growth and believes anyone can change their circumstances and overcome their obstacles if they believe in themselves. Her life will amaze you and seriously inspire you. Be sure to order a copy of her book, Dream Big, on Amazon.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
And you know what I've noticed in my own personal journey with this whole gluten thing, is that all it requires is a change of mindset, but also a change of habits, creating habits for yourself, new ones, good ones, as opposed to, we get it's so easy to fall into just a routine that's not necessarily the healthiest, right? Like little things, like before I go to bed, instead of watching TV, well, take 5 minutes and read something positive, or take that time. And I started doing meditation contemplation before I go to sleep instead of watching murder shows. You know what I mean? There's a difference in how you set yourself up. Because really, no one's going to do it for you. If you want change that bad, you need to be able to make those steps, the one little step that it takes to create that habit, to make that change, right?
Yeah. And everyone thinks of, self-care as being indulgent, it's going to get that manicure, it's taking, the nice warm bath, but it's about changing your habits, looking at the habits that maybe served you for a while but don't serve you anymore, and needing to change. And it is discipline, and it can be hard, but I mean, I think you're a perfect example of, you change those habits, it really, really can change your life.
Well, I kind of had no choice, because now when I eat gluten, I'm in the hospital. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's mandatory. I need to pay attention.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
But I mean, even like exercise. Okay, I'll give you a good example. Here I am in Malibu on top of this wonderful mountain. Well, it's very easy for me to fall into, like, oh, la-di-da. But no, I have to push myself to get out that door in the morning and go for a run. Well, okay, I'm going to say run, but it's more of a power walk because it's uphill. A power walk up the hill, and then I run down the hill because it's easier. But it's incorporating, say, no, Kathy, get your butt out that door and get moving up that hill. You don't have to run all the way, power walk, or do a little bit of both. But I'm the one that's doing it because it's too easy to fall into the negative role. And that's what I'm saying for anybody listening out there. Do one small thing for yourself every day. And it helps with depression. It helps with anxiety.
Mhm.
The hardest part
absolutely.
is talking yourself through it to get out that door, like get moving, put your phone down and just go.
Right.
I
And
never
like
bring
this,
my phone with me because it's too easy to stop and get distracted.
Yep.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it is like, I mean, it's that, what is a 20-minute walk 3 days a week? You don't have to sign up for a marathon or, an
Exactly.
Ironman or something
Mhm.
like that. Just the act of getting your heart rate up really does improve your mood, being, if you can be outside, getting that little bit of sun, especially if you're in an area where, you are affected by the
Yeah.
seasons and, it's darker out and you're not getting that fresh air because you can't really be outside. It doesn't have to be a massive change. You can do small changes over time that do move the needle and make a difference. And set yourself up for success. A power walk, 20-minute power walk, 3 to 4 days a week, perfect place to start. Listen to a podcast, do something else at the same time. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And the thing is, people make excuses for a lot of things. Like I'm blessed enough that I can live in two places because I work up in Canada, but I live down here in California. But when I'm at work, like for my whole life living in northern Canada, you can either say, oh, it's too cold, oh, I don't want to do this, it's snowing. If you just manage to flip that switch in your mind and say, you know what, I'm going to go buy some skates, and even though I haven't skated in 20 years, whatever, I'm going to get on, I'm going to try. I'm going to get
Sure.
out there and do something for yourself. And even if it is snowing, be a kid, make a snowman.
Oh, there you go. Do some snow angels. Absolutely.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
do something to uplift yourself, to put yourself out of that mind frame of depression. It's so hard to do. I know, because I've been there. I spent, oh my God, with my life that I lived, the depression was so overwhelming. And it's too easy to dwell in there. If you want change, get moving, basically, is the
Yeah.
bottom line,
Absolutely.
right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Angela, in the press release I saw about seasonal stress and, of course, the holiday blues. And there's some people that really, the holidays make it worse. They can really get into a funk. It's like a dark shroud hanging over them. How do they get out of that? When the days are shorter, it's so dark. And in a lot of places of the country, you don't have a lot of sunshine. What do people do?
So there are a couple of things you can do, because a lot of people do struggle, and then you're supposed to be joyous during the holidays. Like, why is everybody else happy and I'm not? I mean, it is really hard. And when you get that low, that's why I say, you're looking at an elephant. It's that you're trying to take down. It's one bite at a time. So, have a look at your sleep. A lot of the times when people get sad, they tend to sleep more, even though their sleep quality is not good because they're waking up and still feeling sluggish during the day. So I always tell people, really watch your sleep at night. Make sure you're getting good quality sleep. If you're not falling asleep and staying asleep and waking up, I mean, I'm not a morning person, so it does take me like 20 years. I wake up every morning being like, I am not going to the gym today. And 15 minutes later, I'm getting dressed for the gym. But if you're waking up and that kind of tired feeling is hanging over you, keep an eye on your sleep and making sure you've got, if you need some support in terms of supplements, that's something you can go to. If you need to think about your sleep hygiene, and as Kathy was saying, try, a 5-minute meditation, put those screens away an hour beforehand. Women, as we age, sleeping gets harder. So it is always a great first step to solve. And then exercise, just getting out, even 20 to 30 minutes a couple times a week, can make a big difference. Little changes to your diet are phenomenal. Add some water, try to cut out a little bit of sugar. The whole point is take small steps
Mm-hmm.
So then you feel like you're doing something for yourself. I know some days for people, they can get so low that even getting up to take a shower is a struggle.
Yeah.
Just get through that one thing every day and take baby steps. Don't beat yourself up, but the best way to start digging yourself out the hole is, you just got to one scoop at a time. So give yourself some grace, but there are definitely things like watching your sleep, doing some, getting in a little bit of exercise, starting to clean up your diet a little bit, look at some mood boosting vitamins and minerals, things like magnesium, hemp extract, looking for the THC free. Another ingredient I've just discovered is and working with is saffron. A specific kind of saffron is been shown to be, almost as effective as a low dose antidepressant, but with none of the
Interesting.
side effects. Yeah. So there are natural solutions out there. And again, as we were saying, people tend to look to pills to cure all their woes, but it is something to put in your toolkit. And once you've got, your toolkit up and running, you got little pieces, little levers you can work with to start to lift your floor a little bit. And over time, it'll start to make you feel better, because it is hard. When you are that low, it can be very hard, but one step at a time, because you deserve, like I always tell people, you deserve to be happy. And so, but that, motivation needs to come within you, but you don't have to feel like you have to be a new person tomorrow. You can make small incremental steps that will get you there and be manageable and help you be successful.
Getting motivated is probably the biggest thing. And
Yeah.
it's that taking that first step.
Right. And it really is, it's the first step. That first step is absolutely the hardest. And it's kind of like doing anything for the first time. You only have to do it for the first time once. That first time is always the biggest challenge. You do that first thing and it motivates you to do the second thing. And then, if you're one of those people who likes to get things done, write down a list, cross off things. You took a shower, you brushed your teeth, you went for your walk, you drank an extra glass of water, cross those off your list. It gives you that feeling of accomplishment, and you can really see what it is that you've been able to get done. And that can, that's motivating, but that first step is the hardest. Once you get through that, the next step is that much easier. So if you can get yourself through that first step, the next one won't be as hard, and you will be able to continue on and get that motivation, the positive reinforcement of starting to feel better.
You know what? That's so accurate, because that brings me back to a time when I was really, really struggling with depression. And at one point I didn't move off the couch for 3 days. I mean, I didn't eat, I didn't shower. I couldn't even comb my hair. And so when I started finally after 3 days, I got up and I combed my hair. I said, Kathy, you got to do something. At least comb your hair, brush your teeth. And to me, that was a big thing, because I hadn't moved for 3 days before that. So I'm like, yes, okay, I did that. And then it became the next thing. And you're exactly right. It's one small thing. And then I was looking back, okay, well, at least I got something done today, a little bit. And I had to literally work step by step by step to get moving again. It was really, really hard. But I mean, it's the struggle that makes the journey so much worth it. As I know people think that's cheesy to say, but it's so true. I look back now and I think of those times, and I understand people when they talk about depression and how they feel. I get it, right? Because I was there.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And I mean, I've been there too. That's why I'm saying, to some people, their exercise first step might literally be getting up and taking a couple of laps around the room. Another person might be signing up for, some fitness class or something like that. Like your first step is scale that, to what
I've had days where, okay, you know what? I'm going to work out. I'm going to do this, and I'll get my workout clothes on, and that's it. That's where it stops. But I'm like, hey, at least I got the clothes on.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. It's one step further than you got the day before, which means the next day you'll get the next step. So it's just all about scaling and taking those small steps. And that small step could be brushing your hair, or it could be, going out and looking for some new magnesium supplement to try to see if that'll help balance you out. It's just, you have to be able to break it up into steps that are achievable for you.
And maybe also surrounding yourself with maybe positive people, or people who understand, instead of the people that can say to you, suck it up. I've heard that phrase before. It's like, really?
Yeah. You're onto something there, Shelley. Removing toxic people from your life is a big
Yeah.
part in helping with your own depression. There's a quote I have in one of my thousands of quotes that I laminate. It says, it's from Sigmund Freud. It says, no, it's from Albert Einstein. He says, before you self-diagnose yourself with depression, make sure that you're not surrounded by assholes.
Yeah, right.
It's an actual quote.
Oh, I love it.
I know, but it is the season of getting the pretty holiday cards, and you're looking through social media and you're like, well, they're doing it, why can't I? Like, trust me, I'm actually the person that those people call when they're feeling awful. Like, everybody is struggling right now. So do not beat yourself up. If, whether that is a person in real life that you need to, kind of stop following literally, or someone social media, or stop, looking at the magazines, we all are so self-critical. It's awful. I wish that women weren't socialized to be that way, but we are. And so that's something that our generation has, will always struggle with. There's no reason to, make your life easier. Unfollow.
Well, yeah. And when you're on social media, everybody's always showing the pretty pictures. You're thinking,
exactly.
Wow, they have a fairy tale life. What's wrong with mine?
Exactly. Or they're doing it. Why can't I? But you don't see what you see online, and what is behind the curtain is very different most of the time.
I find that a lot, the people over the holidays with that depression, is that they put pressure on themselves. Like, oh, I don't have money, I can't buy you a gift, or I can't do this, or I can't, do whatever it is that they feel they need to do. But if they would actually take a step back, and why is that? Why do you feel you need to buy, people expensive gifts? You don't. Like, my daughter, half the time she'll make me a card, and that card that she made is 10 times more precious than anything she could have bought from Hallmark, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's learning to just shift your attitude a little bit to see, well, okay, I can't do this. Okay, yeah, that's right. I can't buy gifts, but maybe I can do something different, that has a little bit more meaning.
Yeah. And I mean, if there's anything, the most valuable thing in the world, I mean, we all think it's money, but it's really time.
It is time.
You can't get time back. You can't earn it. You can't have a redo. Nobody can give it to you. So even if it's, baking cookies and decorating cookies with someone, like, that's taking a walk with someone, making them a homemade card, like, those things are very meaningful. And, think about what you can do with your time to, to give that to people. And like you said, that can mean a lot, especially, as a parent and that kind of thing. It's very touching.
The biggest gift is yourself. I know, even in all my years nursing, even now as a heavy equipment operator, I prefer to work Christmas, because, like, most people don't want to work Christmas, but I do, because even back then I would have a different color Santa hat to match any uniform that I had. And I'm that one nurse that has the earrings that light up, the pen that's got a Santa with a nose. I have a Rudolph nose. I got necklaces that light up.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right? I'm giving out little chocolates, even though they're not supposed to have one. You can have one, okay? It's not, just eat the chocolate. Or even now at work, people are away from their families because we're so remote and isolated. Well, here's me. I'm the one that's working. I decorate my whole grader with lights that flash. I got these antlers that have lights on it, because it's dark. And that's another thing. We don't, when I'm working up north, I don't have, like, at this time of the year, there's no sunlight. So I'll be working for 2 weeks straight with no sun, because we get up, say, on night shift. I get up at 3:00 in the afternoon and it's dark. I get back at 7:00 in the morning. It's still dark. So that's a long time, 14 days. So there's a lot of things that are affecting people. They're away from their families. But then I come along and I'll bring banana bread. I'll bring stuff, stuff that you can't get up north, little tidbits to make people's lives a little bit better. Just me, myself, and I, my smile, my bubbly personality, and say, hey, man, I know it sucks you're away from your kids and stuff, but this is what while we're here, at least we can do this, right?
Yeah. And I totally agree. Sometimes, as women, we often take that caregiver role. I mean, just in general, 2 out of 3 caregivers in the US is a woman. But sometimes, the act of, regardless of that, sometimes the act of just seeing that you made someone else smile can really lift you up.
It is.
Yeah. And that's where, like, your time, your empathy, that, you're gifting to people. that can make a huge impact, like much more than a fancy, expensive gift.
Absolutely. Giving of yourself, paying it forward, all of that, because that's really what we're here to do. And I think when they become too, it becomes a vicious cycle. They just become very entwined with themselves. And they pull themselves away from humanity. And we're social animals.
Mm-hmm.
Loneliness. I think that's something certainly with our long haul drivers. I'm sure that loneliness is a big thing, and that's going to affect your mood too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people are, as you said, humans are very social animals, and that doesn't mean you have to have 1,000 friends, just being able to have that one person you can call, or who calls in and checks on you, or like you said, make that one connection. Maybe it's just, the checkout person at the, local grocery store, making someone smile, and having that connection is, is great. So it's always good to seek that. It's really hard if you're really deep in depression to look for that. But even just like the act of making eye contact with someone else and smiling really does, can really lift your mood. It's incredible.
Just out of curiosity, Angela, do you see more women as customers than men? I'm just wondering if women have more problems with some of these issues.
I would say all of my products, all the Kind Lab products are geared towards women. For me, really, it was, being like, wow, I can find lots of things for my millennial daughter, and I can find lots of things for my husband, but where are things for me? Where are things for the 40 plus women? And we get to a point where we're not in the marketing sweet spot anymore. And it's like we fell off the planet. And so that was a big thing for me with Kind Lab, was to really formulate products that are specifically formulated to work with and for a woman's body, and for issues that women 40 plus tend to struggle with, which are going to be things that, your hormones are shifting, you get some of that brain fog, all those things. Like, how do we help women feel better? So the issues that I deal with are much more, they usually have some kind of emotional component, even if they are physical. Like I said, people with pain, you back into that, and usually there's some kind of event that went on, like a death of a parent or a loved one or something like that, which you can tie back into, the pain they're feeling, or they're struggling with sleep. Well, why is that? It's because they've got something else on their mind. So a lot of times it is that emotional side of things that is driving women when they come to me. I do obviously tend to get more women as customers because my products are specifically for them, especially, like I said, that woman 40 plus. But on that caregiving side, people struggling with that, it's the vast majority really is women. You always get the spouse that's, helping their, wife with dementia or something like that. But I feel like on the depression and anxiety side, women are carrying a big part of that weight. I mean, this is awful, but suicide in teenage girls specifically has gone up 51% in the past 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, women specifically with this pandemic are really struggling. And then the women 40 plus just have the additional burden of starting to not feel seen anymore. You start going through menopause and you're not really sure what's going on. Your body kind of becomes not your own anymore, and you start to have to, I always say, you go to sleep with a problem, maybe it'll go away. You wake up with a problem, you own it. You're starting to wake up with some of those backaches and some of those little things that didn't bother you as much. So
sure.
A big part of Kind Lab is just reaching out to women and helping them, which is why generally, my customer base is predominantly women.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
I'm really curious about saffron. What is that?
Mhm.
You said that's a mood booster.
Yep. So it's the I get it from a company. It's called from a company called Afron. Their saffron is specifically, it's grown in Spain. It's this specific variation. There's no child labor involved. I mean, saffron, if you get in the grocery store, is extremely expensive, which is why oftentimes it's diluted with other things. You have to be a little bit careful where you get it from. But Afron has done studies where they're showing that it can lift mood over time. So you take it over the course of 30 days. And I find like most of the feedback that I'm getting is like around week 2 or 3, people like, I do get like that little bit of boost. And sometimes, you can't expect to go from the point where you're like struggling to comb your hair to like Shirley Temple in a month. But the whole point is it's a tool. You use it to lift the floor so that now you can start going for your 20-minute a day walks. You can start doing the different things. So everything is kind of a tool in your toolkit, but saffron it's just been very effective. I've found for my customers who are, have both that, stress, anxiety side of things and have that daytime sadness, the saffron really does give them that boost that with the CBD products alone, I wasn't able to offer them. So I'm so excited to have it. We have it in our lift capsules, which are for that daytime energy, brain fog, low mood, that kind of thing, just to help you get through your day. When you have those days where you feel like you're really overwhelmed, you can't get anything done, or you pivot, you stand in the same place and try to move 9 different directions, but you end up going nowhere. And like I said, it's really helped so many people. And so it's definitely worth a try. If it doesn't work, one more thing you cross off your list and you're that much closer to something that might. But that's what I really try to do is, where are you? Let's raise that baseline, because every time you raise that baseline, it opens up more and more opportunities for you because you have that energy and that motivation to keep doing more for yourself once you get through that first step.
I'm very lucky. My very good friend is from Iran, and she goes every year. And every time she comes back, she brings me a whole whack of saffron that's grown right there. And she swears up and down from the properties, the healing properties that are saffron has, and the quality. It is based on the quality too.
Yep.
Of the product. So I'm very fortunate. I have a whole reserve right from the tree. So yeah. So
It sounds like it's a whole lot better than like St. John's wort. I've heard of that
Yeah, so a lot of people were using St. John's wort and ashwagandha. This one, it has been studied to be more specifically for mood. It also can help with cognitive function. So a lot of times with the depressed mood comes that kind of brain fog, or like, you just can't think, you can't make decisions, you feel like your brain's not working. So I think it's that combination too that's really giving it that much of a head start. The other thing with saffron is there's not an issue taking it with other medications, which there can be with some, herbs and medicines that you don't want to take at the same time. And just like the lack of like negative side effects is great. As Kathy was telling us, everything comes with, especially, it tends to be with pharmaceuticals, everything comes with a caveat, and smaller that list is, the better. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to be subtracting problems, not adding them. And that's where things like saffron are great, because they're subtracting and not adding.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch any of these pharmaceutical commercials, your face is going to fall off and you're going to be in the bathroom at the same time and you're stuck there.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, whoa.
And and pills definitely have their place. Like, obviously, there are things that there are definitely times and places where you need them. But, for people who do want to go for natural first, that's where Kind Lab really comes in. I'm really, really neurotic about what I put into my products and how they can help women, and making sure they're very functional as well as quality organic ingredients. And I always say there's nothing. Everything I make, I would give to my children, which is a much higher bar than even, things that I would be willing to take myself. So yeah, that's kind of my quality bar, is my kids.
Nice.
That's huge.
Yep. Says a lot.
What do you have in terms of, obviously, chronic pain? And that can lead to depression too, when you're in pain all the time. Certainly our drivers have chronic pain because they're sedentary. I mean, we're not designed to sit for hours at a time, and they're doing repetitive motion.
Yep.
What are the THC-free alternatives that you offer?
So when you're using something topically, it is very unlikely that THC is going to get into your body and cause a problem. So fortunately, topicals are always a good option. You don't want to go into anything that's transdermal, which can like penetrate through your skin and get into your bloodstream. But those topicals are a great place to start. Usually if someone points to a problem, I'm like, all right, let's go with the topical. If they're pointing to multiple spots, sometimes I'd like to add in something ingestible, because that could mean that it's something more systemic, like, maybe you have arthritis in your hip, but no, it's actually rheumatoid arthritis, which is kind of, throughout your body and not just localized. But I have a rest balm. It's called Rest Balm. I love it. It is great. It has, not only does it have the CBD in it, but it also has arnica, which is phenomenal for joints, as well as magnesium, which is great for nerve pain. So a lot of times when people have pain, they don't know the cause of it. Is it a ligament? Is it, do you have like something in the bone, like a little fracture, like a chip in the bone or something like that? And, the whole point is what you use on your knee and what you use on your lower back could be different, because the pain there is caused by different things. So what I tried to do is kind of do the kitchen sink method. Like, let's just put everything in it that could possibly be associated, that can address what the root cause of your pain is. And, now you've got your one-shot solution for, both your back and your knee and, your legs that cramp at night and that kind of thing. If you're sitting for a while, my guess is, the lower back and the leg numbness can be a problem. And that's what the Rest Balm is great for that. And just being able to have that quick and easy solution and be more comfortable. Like you're saying, you're not like leaning to one side or another. And, you can move around a little easier when your body's working with you instead of against you. You're just feeling a lot better. So that's always the one that, if someone comes in and they're like, I'm a construction worker, I'm an electrician, like I'm already picking that up before they finish the sentence, because it can be really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm. And I would think too, when your body's out of whack, and of course, when you're driving down the road and you're dealing with, let's face it, there are idiots out there and they do stupids in front of semis and all of that. There's anger. I would imagine when you're feeling better, you're going to handle anger and stress better too.
Yep. A lot of the times when people are reacting to stress like that, I mean, pain can be, especially if it's really rough, it is like another person living with you. It really dictates a lot of like how you feel, how you act during the day. And it can be overwhelming. And that's why staying ahead of it is really, really important. And managing it is important, because once it gets out of control, it can be very difficult to rein in. I always tell people, like, even if using this balm every day makes your shoulder feel better, keep using it every day. Just, don't stop, because there's no reason to not be proactive and keep that pain in check, because that's just going to help you live your life so much more easily. And exactly as you said, when you're not getting pulled down from that pain every day, you definitely see an improvement in your mood.
Even menstrual pain is a big one. Men don't think, oh yeah, right, you're making something out or whatever. However, they'd be on the floor, man.
Oh God, yeah.
But no, for some women, it's really, really bad. Like me personally, it was, when I had it, it was so intense that, I mean, I still got to drive. I mean, I can't stop my life because of my menstrual cycle, because it's every 3 weeks and it's not going to go away, and it is what it is. But how do you manage that and still try and function? Like I'd be leaning over the wheel of the truck trying to drive, and like the spasms were so bad. And I mean, I'm driving, there's nothing I can do. I got to drive for 12 hours. It's my job. So it was very, very difficult for me to manage when all that would work for me, Midol wouldn't work. I mean, nothing would work except for a hot water bottle. That's it. That's the magic cure for me.
They're done that.
Right? Hot water bottle, don't move, leave me alone. And does that affect your mood? Absolutely. Are you gonna snap at people even though you don't mean to? Pain does push that out of you, and it's really hard to manage.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And staying ahead of it is really important, because I'm always talking about baseline. Like the higher you can keep that baseline, just the more like imbalanced your body is. When it goes out of balance, it's just that fluctuation won't be as extreme. So for the people that come to me that struggle with like really, really severe periods, it's, keeping track of it and staying ahead. Do you need to pop that Advil? Do you need to make sure you're getting ahead with your rest balm? That CBD magnesium balm. But staying ahead of it can be really helpful. But it is, no matter what, I've sat there driving and all of a sudden you break out in sweat from the pain and you're like,
yeah.
Nobody better cut me off because like things will get real.
Oh, there you go.
Oh man, saying that I had a sharp pain so bad one time. I'm driving, and in our trucks, they have a safety sensitive thing, little cameras that just measure your eyes, so that your eye, if you're working nights and your eyes close longer than 3 seconds, the camera, the seat will vibrate and like kind of shake you awake, and there's an alarm that will wake you up, right? But in the meantime, this camera goes down to Houston, and then they send it back to dispatch. So I had a menstrual cramp so strong that my eyes closed for more than 3 seconds. And of course the seat vibrates. And then I get a call from the dispatch saying, hey, I actually had to get off my truck and explain to my supervisor why my eyes were closed as I'm driving a 400-ton truck. And he showed me the picture of my eyes and they were squinting. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, you might feel uncomfortable, but this is real, right? My menstrual cramps are so strong. And then he got all uncomfortable. Oh, okay, you know what? We're good. And he didn't want to talk about it.
Sure.
Well, you asked, and that's the reason, right?
Yeah.
It's not because I'm tired. It's because I'm in pain.
I know. And sometimes you want to be like, okay, 51% of the world's population experiences this. You need to be okay with it.
Exactly. Yep. Not something we have to hide and not talk about or sugarcoat.
I know. Yeah. I know. Oh my gosh.
So we have about 2 minutes or so left. Angela, I'd like people to be able to find you. Where do they find you on the internet?
Sure. So our website is kindlab.com. On there, we have a contact form. There's a quiz that helps you find the right product for you. My phone number, and like I said, there's an email contact form. People always laugh. They're like, if I call, am I literally going to talk to you? Yes. You call Kind Lab, you will talk to Angela Arena. And I'm here to help. I really do. I'm very dedicated to not helping women avoid what I went through. If I can help somebody either avoid what I went through or get out of what I went through, for women out there struggling, like I see you, I get it. And let me know how I can help you. So kindlab.com online. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for Kind Lab. On Instagram, we're kindlab.co. So we're out there. We're here to help. And if you're curious about CBD, especially the THC-free versions for everyone out there who has heavy machinery licenses, we can get you hooked up to help you elevate your quality of life.
Wonderful. I'm so glad you've been on the show here. This is the kind of information that women need to have, especially when they need some help. Where the heck do they go? And it's good to know you're out there. Thank you so much for helping women.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful having you today. What an interesting conversation. So full of you're just a wealth of information.
Yes, you are.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was so great talking to you.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at info@tncradio.live.
Thank you for listening to another great interview on tncradio.live and the Truckers Network radio show. All of the material you hear on tncradio.live on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of tncradio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live.